15. France versus Italy. Two of Europe's most successful nations. Italy has 4 World Cups, France has 2, plus back-to-back finals in 2018 and 2022. Their rivalry is built on constant meetings in high-stakes tournaments. Famous moment: the 2006 World Cup final in Berlin. Zidane's head-butt on Marco Materazzi became one of the most shocking moments in soccer history. Italy eventually won on penalties. Why it matters: both nations see themselves as footballing aristocrats, and every meeting feels like a clash of styles. Italian defensive mastery against French flair. 14. Nigeria versus Ghana. West Africa's biggest rivalry. Both nations see football as more than a sport. It's tied to identity and national pride. History: Ghana's Black Stars dominated the 60s and 70s, while Nigeria's Super Eagles rose in the 80s and 90s. Famous moment: the 2008 Africa Cup of Nations quarterfinal, where Ghana beat Nigeria 2-1 at home in Accra. Why it matters: bragging rights across West Africa. For millions, beating the neighbor is more important than winning a trophy. 13. Turkey versus Greece. Rooted in centuries of political and cultural tension, this rivalry goes far beyond football. Famous moment: World Cup qualifiers in the 1990s and 2000s often drew huge crowds and heavy security. Why it matters: every game is symbolic. It's not just about 90 minutes, it's about history stretching back centuries. 12. Iran versus United States. A rivalry born out of politics, not geography. Famous moment: the 1998 World Cup in France. Iran beat the U.S. 2-1 in one of the most politically charged matches ever played. Players exchanged flowers before kickoff, but once the whistle blew, it was intense. They met again in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, with the U.S. winning 1-0 to advance to the knockout stage. Why it matters: few soccer games carry this much political weight. 11. Egypt versus Algeria. North Africa's most explosive rivalry. Famous moment: in 2009, a World Cup qualifier between the two ended with riots, forcing FIFA to stage a playoff in neutral Sudan. Algeria won and qualified, sparking wild celebrations in Algiers. Why it matters: both nations are passionate about football, and when they collide, politics, nationalism, and raw emotion mix. 10. South Korea versus Japan. East Asia's heavyweight clash. History: Japan colonized Korea in the early 20th century, and that history still fuels tensions today. Famous moment: the two nations co-hosted the 2002 World Cup, but even then, rivalry was clear. Matches in qualifiers and Asian Cups always draw massive attention. Why it matters: for fans in both countries, this isn't just football, it's a statement of national pride. 9. Scotland versus England. The oldest rivalry in international soccer, dating back to 1872. Famous moment: Scotland beating England 3-2 at Wembley in 1967, just a year after England had won the World Cup. Scotland fans even declared themselves the unofficial world champions. Why it matters: for Scotland, beating England has always been about more than sport. It's about identity. And for England, it's a reminder that the birthplace of modern football isn't always on top. 8. France versus Germany. Two European powerhouses with history stretching far beyond the field. Famous moment: the 1982 World Cup semi-final in Spain. The brutal collision between German goalkeeper Harald Schumacher and French midfielder Patrick Battiston left Battiston unconscious and missing teeth. West Germany went on to win on penalties. Why it matters: wars, politics, and repeated World Cup meetings have turned this fixture into a battle of pride and memory. 7. Versus. A rivalry defined by one legendary match. Famous moment: the 1950 World Cup final, known as the Maracanazo. In front of 200,000 fans in Rio, Uruguay stunned Brazil 2-1 to win the trophy. That defeat still haunts Brazilian football. Why it matters: while Brazil became the sport's global giant, Uruguay takes pride in being the small nation that once shocked them on the biggest stage. 6. Spain versus Portugal. The Iberian Derby. Famous moment: the 2018 World Cup group stage, where Cristiano Ronaldo scored a stunning hat-trick in a 3-3 draw. Why it matters: neighbors with centuries of rivalry. Portugal often feels overshadowed by Spain, but in football, they've had their share of glory. 5. Versus. A rivalry fueled by war memories and clashing football philosophies. Famous moment: the 1974 World Cup final. Johan Cruyff's Netherlands dazzled, but West Germany came back to win 2-1. Another, Euro 1988, when the Dutch finally beat Germany on German soil, then went on to win the tournament. Why it matters? For decades, the Netherlands measured themselves against Germany, and those games always carried extra weight. 4. Argentina versus England. This rivalry combines football, politics, and unforgettable moments. Famous moment: the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. Diego Maradona scored both the infamous hand of God and the goal of the century against England in the same match. Context: the Falklands War just 4 years earlier made the meeting even more intense. Why it matters? For Argentina, that one symbolized more than sport. For England, it's a wound that never quite healed. 3. United States versus Mexico. The biggest rivalry in North America. Famous moment: the 2002 World Cup round of 16, where the U.S. beat Mexico 2-0. Since then, Dos a Cero has become a rallying cry for American fans. Why it matters? It's about more than football. It's cultural, political, and regional dominance. Every Gold Cup, every World Cup qualifier, feels like a battle for CONCACAF supremacy. 2. England versus Germany. This rivalry gets its own higher spot because of its sheer impact. Famous moment: the 1966 World Cup final, England's only World Cup victory. Geoff Hurst's controversial Wembley goal still sparks debate. Later, Germany got revenge in penalty shootouts. World Cup 1990, Euro 1996. England fans still dread shootouts against them. Why it matters? England invented the modern game, but Germany mastered winning when it mattered. That contrast fuels the fire. 1. Brazil versus Argentina. The biggest rivalry in international soccer. Famous moment: countless. From Maradona facing Zico in the 80s, to Messi lifting the Copa America in 2021 against Brazil in their own Maracana. Why it matters? They're the two most successful nations in South America, both producing legends of the game. It's not just football. It's about culture, pride, and global bragging rights. When Brazil and Argentina meet, the whole world pays attention.